Uh,
Said it right.
oh, is it? I am now.
It is. Right.
So I have both the Helena Church of Conscious Living and the Helena Center for Creative Living. And
You know what?
Louder.
There you go.
thank you. It's that I get feedback and suggestions. So whether you know us as the Helena Center for Creative Living or the Helena Church of Conscious Living, welcome. And welcome to those who are watching online. If it is your first time, we are a religious science church, and our services are based on the teachings of Ernest Holmes, and all are welcome here. If we haven't met before, my name is Jan Wong. I am a religious science practitioner based in Bozeman. We're going to begin this morning with a song that I chose based on this month's theme of deeper roots. It's a very sweet song by Annie Patterson called My Roots Go Down. And if it feels comfortable, feel free to close your eyes and just take in this gentle music as we settle into being together here this morning. And from there, we'll open up with a prayer. The support of whatever we are sitting on, and imagine those roots extending from our feet into the ground, knowing that as they spread out, they form a network of connection with each other. For although in this physical realm, we perceive separate objects, in fact, there is only one life, an unlimited love intelligence that is beyond our description or imagination, that animates everything that is here. And so this morning, as we come together and share each other's presence and kindness and love, we remember this one life that connects us all through our roots, through our love, through our remembrance that all is one. And so it is. So, welcome once again. It's just such a pleasure to be here in this really sweet, intimate group. We're going to continue to explore this month's theme of deeper roots. A root is such an interesting word with several meanings. It's used both as a noun and as a verb. When we think of root, we usually think about that part of the plant that's underground, that attaches the plant to the ground. It provides support. It provides water that it pulls up and nourishment. And so already we can start to see some of that connection to science of mind, which also provides us spiritually with support and nourishment. The word root, though, can also mean basic cause, the source or origin of something. And so once again, there's a connection to science of mind because our teaching focuses on understanding why our lives are the way they are. Like what causes the life experiences that I have, and what can I do to alter them? To answer that question, Ernest Holmes points to the teachings of Jesus, who said, "It is done unto you as you believe." Or, as Holmes explains it, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Holmes later elaborated, Man, by thinking, can bring into his experience whatsoever he desires if he thinks correctly and becomes the living embodiment of his thoughts. This is not done by holding thoughts, but by knowing the truth. So there are several other tenets within science of mind. However, the power of our belief and the influence of our thoughts over the outcomes in our lives is a central principle. So change your thinking, change your life. You've heard this before. I'm sure 99% of you already know this. Change your thinking, change your life. Simple, right? Ah, yeah, I can tell by the giggles that there is an understanding in this group of wise people that simple doesn't necessarily mean easy. So, what can we do when we run into difficulty changing our thinking? And now this is where trees and their roots came into the picture for me, because after I learned that this month's theme at HCCL was deeper roots, I did what many people do. I started surfing the internet looking for inspiration about roots. And I learned something really amazing to me. And that's that the roots of trees in the forest are interconnected. There's this really complex network that's facilitated by fungi in the soil. And this network has been called the Wood Wide Web. It allows trees to communicate with one another and share resources. Now, when we look at trees, right, we see these separate trunks and we think they're all separate. But in fact, under the ground, through the root system, they are connected. The network is composed of tiny fungal filaments that are called mycelium. So think of mycelium like the roots of fungi. And through these filaments, the trees make connections and can send and receive essential resources such as water and nutrients. And the way this has been measured initially was radioactive isotopes of a vital nutrient was injected into a tree and then given some time to assimilate. Then using a Geiger counter, the radioactivity was measured in nearby trees to see if those nutrients had moved underground into other trees. And indeed, they had. So trees can and do send water, sugars, and other nourishment to other trees that are struggling. You might think, well, why do fungus, why are they involved in this? Well, they receive a benefit too. They receive sugars from the trees that trees produce through photosynthesis. Remember, these fungi are in the ground, so they are not exposed to light and they cannot produce their own sugars. So it's a cooperative type of situation. It's a symbiosis in which both parties benefit. In addition, trees that are experiencing attack, like say bugs are attacking them, can send electronic signals through the wood wide web, that's hard to say, to warn other trees of the situation. And you might think, what's another tree going to do if there's a bug infestation? Trees can actually alter the chemical composition within their leaves, making them less palatable so that the bugs will pass them over. Also, there are older, larger trees, and researchers have found that many of the older, larger trees have more concentrated mycelial networks, and they're more heavily connected to other trees. These are called mother trees, and they play a crucial role in nurturing younger trees by sending them nutrients and protection through this mycelial root system. If you're wondering why young trees need this type of encouragement, it's because in the forest, the trees grow up and have these canopies, dense canopies of leaves that don't allow a lot of light through to the young seedlings coming up. And so, since they are not able to produce enough nourishment for their own growth, the bigger trees help them out by sending nourishment to the young tree's roots under the ground. Other ways that trees communicate are by using scent, including pheromones. This can happen when they're under attack by a predator, or it can also happen to attract beneficial bugs and pollinators. Research is also being done on sound communication that may be linked to cracking sounds at specific frequencies that are made by roots. So the mycelium tree root network, as well as other forms of tree communication, allow the forest to function as a complex interconnected unit, sharing resources, defending against threats, nurturing younger or less healthy trees, and possibly even demonstrating forms of learning. It's a cooperative endeavor in which clearly the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And I want to talk just a little bit more about mycelium, because this is not something that we see. It's under the ground. Other functions that mycelium provide are that they break down plant material. They're basically like the forest's recyclers. And they also hold carbon. They sequester it into the soil. So that's really important in the context of global climate change. So trees appear to be individual, stationary plants. However, beneath the ground, at the root of it, if you will, they're highly interconnected. So what can we learn from this wood wide web? Well, certainly that communication and cooperation are beneficial. And we might also want to expand our concept of intelligence. In the context of how we live day to day, my takeaway is that we don't need to go it alone. It's definitely not advisable because interaction and the sharing of knowledge and resources benefits all and creates a win-win outcome. So let's go back to that question that I posed earlier. What do we do when we run into difficulty changing our thinking? Or for that matter, when we find it hard to apply any of the spiritual principles we've learned, like forgiveness. I don't know about you, but that's a hard one for me. Like the principle of loving everyone, and everything. What do we do when we can't sit, stay, and be here now, to use an example from Orlinda's talk last week. So the example of forest trees points me to leaning into community and sharing our compassion, our understanding, and encouragement with each other. And one of the best ways to accomplish this is by taking advantage of the many classes and groups that HCCL sponsors. Reverend Charles' class on this thing called you is the perfect opportunity to review, or in some cases learn, the basics of science of mind while hanging out with your friends and feeling supported. You know, it's great to come to church on Sundays. I love this very sweet community, and we have that opportunity to feel inspired and uplifted. But a lot of times that only lasts as long as, well, it only lasts until the next person cuts you off in traffic, right? Or it only lasts until you hear something upsetting on the news, or whatever life brings you. So the way to really build spiritual muscle is to allow yourself to be exposed to more opportunities of community and support and midweek gatherings or groups. Reverend Jean leads an online group called Masterfully Mindful that provides a safe space to share honestly and set intentions without fear of judgment. And I believe A Course in Miracles took a summer vacation, but is returning. I see a smile. These are gatherings that emphasize presence. These are not about fixing each other's problems or complaining endlessly. They're opportunities for us to show up the way we want other people to show up for us. Opportunities to lovingly listen and to bask in each other's radiance. I often find that I can easily see someone else's goodness and deservingness when it is next to impossible for them to see it for themselves. And I believe that's because our misperceptions that are based in fear create blind spots, right? Like we just can't see past this blind spot and believe in our own goodness. And that's when having someone else looking in from a different perspective is just invaluable. And that different perspective can be shared without even speaking. A lot of times it's just the presence and the energy and the intent with which we show up that travels through the air and is felt. So it is that opportunity to provide that different perspective, whether shared verbally or not, that I love about being a practitioner. And the thing of it is that that's available to all of us through our community, through our friendships. If none of the HCCL groups or times work for you, find a group that does. So for example, on Monday nights, I attend a group called Joining Rivers, which is a meditation group, a Buddhist meditation group following the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. Or you could start your own group. Twice a month on Monday mornings, I facilitate an online group that Orlinda and I started 5 years ago. So there are endless possibilities because remember, we are creative individuals. So that is what I gleaned from the underground root communication system of trees. I love what nature has to teach us. There's so much wisdom if we're willing to take some time to look and to listen. The more connected we are, the more we can support one another. So let us root for each other. And for the sake of full disclosure, I do have to admit that there are such things as loner trees that don't participate in the wood wide web, but that's not us. So believe it or not, I actually found a song about mycelium, and we are going to listen to that next. I know, it's called Brilliant. These offerings that continue to keep this lighthouse of learning and growth and evolution flourishing and alive. I know that it is good and very good, and so it is. I want to say that a lot of my content came from this book, The Hidden Life of Trees, that was written by a German forester who originally was charged with, making sure that a commercial plantation of trees for lumber was healthy. And as he continued to observe what was going on in this forest, it piqued his curiosity, and he made a lot of the initial discoveries about the mycelium network underneath the ground. So if you're interested in more, it's called The Hidden Life of Trees by Peter Wollenben. And I believe we're going to do announcements, and I will do a closing prayer, and then we kind of have a fun departure song.
Testing. I think it is. Okay. Jan, holy cow. We always learn so much. And for you to do that research, you could be giving us a science class along with your knowledge. But I am amazed that it does make sense that all the roots are connected. And no offense, when you have one in your yard and it's affecting your sewer line, you do find out that they are connected all the way over to the neighbors, and you don't really want to kill your neighbor's tree either. So here's to roots, but thank you so much. That was just amazing. And I want to thank Rosie. I have to say, I don't know if we give Rosie enough credit, but she is so responsible for all of these amazing speakers. And we learn something every day, and I love the community that you brought in. I'm going to say that next Sunday, we're going to have one more. There's 5 Sundays in August. And so next Sunday, our speaker will be Sarah Allen. So please come and listen to her words of wisdom. And then the first part of the first Sunday in September, we go to Zoom with Jerry Troyer. And then Charles will be speaking on the 14th. Joanna will be on the 21st, and Jean will be on the 28th. And thank you so much again, Jan, because I am excited about Charles's class. And in your talk, you've already kind of given the rah-rah compliments to Charles. There are now 12 people signed up. So I'm excited. I think we've all got our book. I haven't read ahead of time, but we will all be joining Charles in our room, Inspiration Hall, this Thursday at 1:30. So be here, be now. And Charles will give us his words of wisdom. So we thank you so much, Charles. The other thing I think oh, David, good. Are we on for the second Tuesday of September, or are we on for the 3rd? For the Course of Miracles. Okay, that'll be the 2nd. Okay, Tuesday the 9th, Course of Miracles in the Inspiration Hall between 1 and 2:30. And there again, we're all learning about forgiveness and other interesting things about love. So I am going to propose everybody as a problem solving thing. I want to give a shout out to Maddie, and I want to thank Ace for stepping in, but we did receive notice. Maddie is heading off to school. And tell me again, Maddie, what your last Sunday is here. The 14th. Okay, so that's our second Sunday in September. And we've been notified that her mother has many other hats and responsibilities at school, and we are going to be short another tech person. Luckily, we have a very astute assistant back there named Ace. But I'm asking as a problem solving, because our board is going to be meeting right after this session, that if you know of anyone who would be interested in helping out Ace, please let the board know. So have I forgot anything?
Cookies. Right?
Oh. Oh. Whoa.
Chocolate chip cookies and bars stuff in place. And I've tested enough of them.
Okay. So for those present, not on Zoom, there is cookies to make sure that you have one before you leave. Thanks to Diane. And again, thank you so much, Jan, for coming all the way from Bozeman and giving us a good lesson on roots. And we welcome your blessing.
Thank you so much for enduring my sort of nerdy presentation. I really do love what nature has to teach us. So I just invite us all to make yourselves comfortable, close your eyes if you choose, and let's just take in a breath together. How beautiful it is to gather here, to know not only that we are not alone, but that we are surrounded by love. The love of God as it expresses as each of our individual lights. And so I know that sense of connection carries us forward and lights the way through this time of change and interesting challenges. We are in every moment surrounded by the love that contains all of the answers. And so I know that the days ahead are blessed as we stay connected to this beacon of guidance. And I give thanks. I give thanks for this ongoing embrace of love that comforts us and guides us. And I simply release these words knowing that they are being returned into each of our lives, fulfilled. And so it is. Okay, we have one more Roots song because